Prior to Simplesat, what were the main challenges or issues your organization have faced?
So the main issue that the company was facing was that the previous provider that we used for our CSAT surveys was not set up in a way where we could see consistent feedback being pushed toward customers.
How did you come across Simplesat?
We used the App Store and Zendesk to see what the connections possible were. And we had received a couple of recommendations from Zendesk support as well for a CSAT tool, including their own built-in version. And so we looked into multiple providers with the Zendesk integration and tested them out. And, and SimpleSat was, I think, number 3 or 4 that we tested. And yeah, immediately we started using it more. And mainly the selling point that gave us more decision towards SimpleSat was the customer support.
What did you like best about our support team?
Yeah, well, the main thing was that we had the introduction call with Elliot, and he gave us a good insight into the tool. He understood our questions, our demands, our requirements or must-haves. He showed us immediately how the tool is basically able to be set up. Um, he was able to manage it with specific tailored sessions with us. So we could build the survey, we could create it, we could link it in our Linux environment, we could test it. And that gave us a quick hands-on mentality and possibility to use SimpleSat as best possible as you wanted. We were easy to understand it, the tool itself, and were able to, once the first setup or guided setup was done by Elliot, we were able to build the future service by ourselves. So it was pretty self-explanatory at some point, and any kind of yeah roadblocks we thought were roadblocks were fixed pretty fast by Elliot by just jumping on a call, seeing what we were struggling with, and just saying, okay, that's the way how we think the system works, but that's how the system actually works. And we could see that the required goal was achievable, but just we had to think on terms of the simple set backend. So that was the benefit that we were. He was eager to communicate on email, jumping on a call, finding a slot together, and he understood our requirement to uh, meet our deadline towards the management to actually test the tool, see it, and yeah, it came in budget-wise more than perfect for towards the team, towards management in preparation for budget optimization for this year. So we went into communication with Elliot in end of 22 and then started using it actively in February this year.
What did you like best about the integration process with Zendesk?
The good thing was that we were able to compare SimpleSat immediately with the previous trials we had with different providers. And we could see that, first off, the admin area of SimpleSat was flexible enough to build everything that we wanted. So the survey itself was created pretty fast. We were able to clone services pretty fast, adapt them, edit the existing ones, do translations on our own, and then be up and running for multiple languages in a short amount of time. The setup with the integration in Zendesk was easy done because we only needed to focus on triggers. Everything else was done on the SimpleSat end. If we compare it to different providers, we had to set up automations, auto responses, triggers, set up special triggers, set up special actions in Zendesk when creating the surveys or triggering the surveys. So there were more steps that we had to maintain in Zendesk itself, but with different providers than with SimpleSat. It was just one action that we needed to do. We could easily copy it, and the rules were pretty straightforward to apply to Zendesk, and we could see the execution of those rules immediately in the Simplesat dashboard, in our inboxes with the connection as an admin, and also for the agents to be to able to see that. So all the tickets that had received a survey were immediately popping up. The agents were able to see it, and we connected it to Slack as well, yeah, as an integration for internal communication. So any incoming survey, we were triggering into a specific Slack channel. And the best part about that integration was also that we were able to tailor to our needs.
Are there any more tools that you integrate Simplisat with?
For now, yes, that's the only three ones that we have integrated, but we are planning on integrating more. So the next step that we want to do is a Zapier integration, that we are able to move the incoming data into a Zapier connection and then create Google Sheets out of that Zapier connection that fits the requirements of the target group. So, for example, we are building now, we started with a qualitative survey instead of a quantitative CSAT survey. And the target behind that would be that on recurrent quarterly meetings with customers, the agent is able to perform a rather extended survey with the customer with a follow-up action, and those feedback received from that customer is then transformed into a CIP sheet, let's say so, with a continuous improvement program behind it. So we can internally look into requests from customers and see how that um, interaction with the customer on a quarterly basis can be used to show progress and targeted improvements internally, also with departments like accounting, sales, or the development department.
Based on your experience using Simplisat, what would you say are the reasons to recommend the company to other businesses or industries?
I can highly recommend Simplesat just on the basis alone that we see in comparing it to our previous provider. The baseline was the same. So we were using customer communication as the first integration to receive feedback. And we saw an immediate improvement in our CSAT scores. We jumped from a 3.24 in January to 4.11 in February. And also the amount of responses we received. On average, we were receiving up until 150 responses in total for the entire month. And we jumped to 700 to 900 responses per month. So that improved immediately and significantly. We were able to build a survey, adapt the survey on requirements. We used a simple version of the survey with just one question, then adapted the survey in 2 months to have a multi-select question available. So the customer was able to leave department specific feedback. So they could say if that feedback was related to the customer support team or a different department, and the customers were eager to use that adoption. And we were able to increase more and more departments to use that tool. So the main reason and the main recommendation is just the increase in responses, increase in customer interactions, and increase in customer relations. So even the agents are seeing that they are performing in a certain way. So the um, overall view from those agents in the past was, I'm not sure how am I doing, and the leads were not able to see how that agent is doing. So is there maybe a general on lack of understanding topics, gap in explaining difficult topics towards customers? Is that agent lacking in any area? Or is the agent just having a bad reception of their own quality? So we were able to show clearly that, okay, you're doing everything right because you can see how the customer is responding and you see how many times the customer is responding. So well done on that end. It's a motivational element, which improved a lot. um, we have, for example, we have a target of achieving a 4.6 average score for for the customer service. And the previous year, we were running around 3.4, 3.5, and so on. So that was kind of demotivating for the agent in the beginning to say, okay, you have that target, but look, we're not able to reach that. And then we changed the system. We allowed more service coming in, and the agents were able to see it's something that they didn't believe was possible to be active, to be live, to be used in the day-to-day work. So that's a huge motivational push internally as well to motivate teams to say, okay, this is a tool that works. We see feedback, and more teams are jumping on the wagon to say, okay, can we build something for us? Can we create a new survey in this channel? Can we do an integration in our web embedded new tool? So maybe we get more and more customers are able to use a feedback option. So it's definitely beneficial in terms of what was and what is to actually keep more departments, internal departments, and also customer groups motivated to leave feedback and be more engaged.